Hello, Bill. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work and hope your health and strength is good. What? Now, what's up, gamers? Today's January the 5th. Got 300 and more 60 days to go. 40 years over. Make every day count, you know? Anyway, look, got another article here from the Activision Blizzard situation. Listen to this. UK regulators extend deadline for investigation into Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. The CMA will now publish the results of its investigation at the end of April, almost 2 months later than initially planned. Says here, the Competition and Maker Authority CMA has extended the deadline for its investigation into Microsoft proposed $68.7 billion acquisition, aka 70 billion, of Activision Blizzard. Says here the CMA is the UK competition regulator that pledged to investigate the deal over concerns the move could harm competition by locking off major franchise such as Call of Duty from rival like Sony. Says here last year the regulator said the deal could give Microsoft an unparalleled advantage in the key markets, simultaneously bolstering the Xbox Maker subscription and cloud streaming service, while preventing rivals from improving their own offering by removing access to notable Activision Blizzard properties. Well, those two paragraphs are false, because first of all, it doesn't stop competition, and then when Sony had blocked Street Fighter V from Xbox, did that stop Microsoft from improving Game Pass? No, it didn't. So those two paragraphs are fake and they're false. Anyway, let me keep going here. Says here Microsoft rubbished those claims and said it's actually playing second fiddle to the market leader Sony, which it believes has the clear ability to completely respond to the deal. Yes, they do, because they have their own shooters like SOCOM, Killzone, and Resistance. Okay, and on top of that, on top of that, they got Naughty Dog. Let's not forget about that. But anyway, says here the console maker also said that taking ownership of Call of Duty or indeed any other Activision Blizzard franchise won't give it the ability to foreclose its competitors in the game industry. That's true because of the user base. Anyway, it says Microsoft, however, also said it's likely offer Call of Duty through Xbox Game Pass at some point. Then it says in parentheses, it could of course do this while still selling the titles on other platforms. That is true, meaning that they'll have Call of Duty on Game Pass, but also have Call of Duty on PlayStation, Nintendo, and also PC and Linux. Anyway, says here notably the company has made proposal that will keep Call of Duty on rival platform for the next decade, with Nintendo accepting that deal. Sony, however, has yet to accept any of the offer tabled by Microsoft. And then it says, as the debate between some of the industry biggest players continues, the CMA has now chosen to extend the final deadline for all parties' response and submissions to its own investigation to March 23rd. The CMA previously wanted those response in by February 23rd. The CMA has also moved the statutory deadline to publish its final report into the potential risk of the deal to April 26, 2023 from March 1st, 2023, meaning the entire process has essentially been extended by a couple of months. You can keep tabs on CMA investigation by checking for updates on the UK government website. Alright. Look, first of all, the Activision Blizzard deal doesn't stop competition. First of all, it doesn't stop Sony from growing its own subscription base. Because as a console maker, you are responsible to make, since subscription is the new thing now in video games, as a console maker, you are responsible to make sure that your subscription service grows. Okay? Whether you have whether you have exclusive games or not, you have to find a way to make it grow. And does the Activision Blizzard deal stop competition? No, it doesn't. When Sony had exclusive rights to Street Fighter V, did that stop competition? No, it didn't. Because you had Microsoft with Killer Instinct, Nintendo with Smash Brothers, Sega with Virtual Fighter, SNK with King of Fighters and Samurai Showdown, Arc System with Guilty Gears and Dragon Ball Z Fighters, and then Namco with Tekken and Soul Calibur. So, when Sony had exclusive rights to Street Fighter V, competition don't stop. Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard deal does not stop competition. Because you have EA with Anthem and Battlefield. You got Gearbox with Brothers in Arms, and they need to step their game up. You got Capcom with Lost Planet. You have Capcom with Lost Planet, Gearbox with Brothers in Arms, EA with Battlefield and Anthem, and then there's Bungie with Destiny. So competition don't stop within the industry just because you buy a studio. Okay, the game industry is like the ocean waves. It keeps moving, it keeps growing, it keeps expanding. Okay, that's why we have all these game shows like E3, TGS, Summerfest, because those shows are about what? Networking. So people can build studios and create games. So the game industry does not stop just because Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard. It keeps growing. When EA was buying all those studios, did the game industry stop? Nope. When Microsoft bought ZeniMax Bethesda, did the game industry stop, or did it stop growing? No. Look at the developers of Splitgate. They got $100 million contract. And remember when they got the contract, I was telling them, don't buy a corporate office. You buy a warehouse and turn it into a studio. That way you can save some money. So the game industry don't stop. It keeps growing. And competition, the game industry will always have competition. And Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard was a response to Sony, and it was a counter to Sony's hitting Microsoft with all kind of time exclusives and blocking games from coming to Game Pass. So Sony loves to dish it out, but can't take it. The Activision Blizzard deal now brings Nintendo into the spotlight too, because they can't hide. You know, you got people on YouTube have a tendency to paint Nintendo as this goody two-shoes company who can't do no wrong. With Microsoft bringing Call of Duty to Nintendo now, the Call of Duties that were on the Wii, that means Call of Duty World at War, Modern Warfare 4, Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops. Since the Wii was 733 megahertz, there was a lot of content that was being withheld. So now, when it's fully playable on the Wii U now, those content could be added, and then you could add the GameCube controller and then the Wii Pro controller and also the Wii U Pro controller to those games, and then you get the same functionality and playability like you would on Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and Ghost for the Wii U. So the Wii U got some updates that should be coming in 2023. Then there's the Spider-Man games that Activision published. Those games now, Activision Blizzard now can add those updates to those games, and then add the the GameCube controller to it, the Wii Pro controller to it, and the Wii U Pro, and then you can play those games fully now on the Wii U by using the tablet and also getting the map for those games. So there are plenty of updates that should be coming the Wii U's way, thanks to the Activision Blizzard deal. And Nintendo themselves, they were withholding updates from the Wii U too, because Street Fighter Alpha needs to be Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold. Super Street Fighter on the Game Boy needs to be in HD graphics with Akuma playable. And then Super Street Fighter 2 needs to turn into Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And then Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, and Street Fighter 2, those need to turn into the arcade port, and you should be able to get all those updates. So there's plenty of updates for the Wii U when you really look at it. And then Batman Arkham Asylum need to be available for the Wii U. Then Batman Arkham City and Blackgate, they need the Wii U Pro controller function, plus the GameCube, plus the Wii U Pro. So the Activision Blizzard deal, all it did was expose Sony and Nintendo, and they can't hide anymore. Bottom line, that's all this did. Microsoft exposed Sony and Nintendo, and they can't run and they can't hide. They're gonna have to deal with the choices that they made. And the Activision Blizzard deal was Microsoft responding to Sony's time exclusives and blocking games. And I guess because like what made me realize when Microsoft was serious about this, was getting very serious, was when the PS5 was coming out, and Sony did their little event on YouTube announcing the PlayStation 5. That following week, Microsoft This Week on Xbox was longer than ever. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm saying to myself, this week on Xbox is usually long. It's never this long. And then when I figured it out, Microsoft used This Week on Xbox to kill the momentum that PlayStation was trying to generate with PlayStation 5. I mean, Sony killed Sony's momentum, what they were trying to generate with PlayStation 5. It's like they were saying, like, you guys are not saying anything. We got games over here too, right? But then Sony kept hitting Microsoft with all those time exclusives and blocking games. And I guess Microsoft was like, okay, well, really, we're going to respond to this. And then when the Activision Blizzard popped up on the radar, and then the whole situation was happening, and Sony and Nintendo wasn't paying attention to what was going on, Microsoft did a sneak attack and purchased Activision Blizzard. You know, so Sony got caught up in the rights of Call of Duty, and that expires in a couple of years, right? About a year or so. But once that expires, you don't own Activision Blizzard, and that's where Microsoft come in and got them. So the Activision Blizzard deal now exposed Sony and Nintendo now, because you know, it shows what Sony was doing, and it also shows that Nintendo was withholding updates from the Wii U, you know, and withholding content and updates from the Wii U. So now with this Activision Blizzard deal now, it exposes everybody, and it should be some changes come, especially with the Wii U, because there's a lot of updates that need to be added. So 2023 should be a good year for the Wii U to collect all those updates. But Microsoft was right for buying Activision Blizzard. And no, it's not a monopoly like a lot of these game analysts want to put it, because they wouldn't even understand a monopoly if they saw it. Sony hitting Microsoft with all those time exclusive and blocking games from Game Pass is more of a monopoly than Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. Okay? Yeah. So Microsoft was right for what they did, man. And no, this doesn't stop the game industry from growing, from progressing, and from thriving. And the game industry is like the ocean waves. It keeps moving. It keeps growing. Okay, so it's not going to stop anything. As long as there is there's game shows like Game Developer Conference, TGS, Tokyo Game Show, Summerfest, where all the developers always meet. You know, people network, so and people form studios that way. So the Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard does not affect anything. It is Sony's responsibility to make sure PlayStation Plus grows. It's Nintendo's responsibility to make sure that Nintendo Online grows. It's Microsoft's responsibility to make sure Game Pass grows. So Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard really doesn't affect anything. And anybody who keep saying, "Oh, it's gonna stop Sony from getting certain games." But then now you got to look at Sony and say, okay, what happened to your SOCOM, your Resistance, and your Killzone? What happened to those games? Okay, and take it from there. So the Activision Blizzard deal is not stopping anything. The game industry will always keep growing, and new studios are being formed all the time. You know, people come together, they want to create games, studios are formed. So the game industry will always grow. The Activision Blizzard deal is competition, and it's gonna it challenges and Sony and Nintendo now to step their game up. Okay, step their game up and stop taking the video game industry for granted. So it's not gonna do anything, man, like many people think it is, because I mean there's still first person shooters out there. You know, there's still adventure games out there. You know, I mean, come on, man. The game industry will always continue to grow. Competition is what drives the tech industry and the video game market. So it's not doing anything. So the thing is, Sony's is too much of a crybaby. They love to dish it out, but can't take it. And then I got a question for the FTC. Like, okay, where were you when Sony got the exclusive right to Spider-Man? Where were you when, like one of the viewers said, when they blocked crossplay? You know, so yeah, this deal doesn't stop anything. Okay, it just challenges the industry, and the industry will grow from this, because new studios are going to be formed, and new games are going to continue to come out. So it doesn't stop anything, man. And this was just Sony creating all this crying like a baby too much. You know, they love to poke, they love to dish it out, man, and can't take it. And the way Microsoft responded the way Microsoft responded was buying Activision Blizzard and send a message to them, you know. So yeah, this Activision Blizzard deal, it doesn't stop anything, you know. And the game industry will continue to thrive. Companies will evaluate themselves. Every game studio now is evaluating themselves to see where they are in the stream of things. You know, they're to see where they are and where they're trying to go. So the industry will always continue to move as on a day by day basis. So it's not going to stop anything, man. To me, you know, Sony making this a big issue. Sony, the flashlight has been shined on them now. They have to look themselves in the mirror and see where they're gonna go now, you know, and how they're gonna approach things now, you know. If they want to survive in this game industry, they have to stay competitive. So they got some work to do. So does Nintendo, and you know, the Wii U fan base. The Wii U fan base got plenty of updates that should be coming its way from Activision Blizzard, from Capcom, and WB Games and Rocksteady, because there should be some updates coming its way, you know, and any other studio you could think of. But other than that, does the $68.7 billion deal stop the game industry from growing? No, it doesn't. The game industry is going to thrive from this. The game industry is going to grow. And Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard now challenges the game industry to grow. So yeah, the game industry is going to benefit from the Activision Blizzard deal when it's all said and done, when this thing is over with. Anyway, we'll leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Or 36. Go. Base.